The great space station of Zerath floated in the shadow of a dying sun, its metallic rings glowing faintly in the pale light. Ships from 100 alien worlds drifted in and out like insects around a flame, carrying traders, mercenaries, and drifters from every corner of the galaxy. Among them walked a lone human, Captain Rylan. His long coat hid the scars of old wars, and his eyes carried the weight of things he never spoke about. He moved through the bazaar with slow, careful steps, watching everything, listening to whispers that never reached most ears. Humans were rare here and even more rarely trusted. Some aliens spat when they saw him, others looked away, afraid of what humanity's name still meant after the Orion conflict. The bazaar was loud, filled with colors and smells from alien worlds. There were stalls selling plasma gems, cybernetic pets, and strange foods that shimmered like liquid light. But deep inside the market was a place most people avoided. The slavers' row cages lined the path, filled with different species and broken, silent and waiting to be rented or sold. And there, at the very end, under a flickering neon sign that read, "Companions for Hire, 5 credits a night," sat a young alien woman. Her skin shimmered faintly blue under the dim lights. Her hair fell like silver threads and her eyes held no life. She didn't look up when buyers passed. She didn't speak. She had long accepted what she was, a rented thing. Rylan stopped, his gaze fixed on her. He said nothing for a long time. The merchant behind the counter, a thick-skinned groth with 6 eyes, grinned at him. 5 credits, human, cheap deal. She can cook, talk, or whatever you like. No refunds. Rylan placed a small pouch of metal coins on the counter. The groth checked them, surprised. Old Terran credits? You're serious? Rylan only said, her name. The merchant shrugged. Lyra, or whatever name you want to call her. Doesn't matter to me. Rylan nodded and stepped closer to the cage. Lyra finally looked up. Her eyes were like deep water. Silent. Empty, waiting for nothing. Come with me, he said softly. She didn't move. The groth unlocked the cage, and Lyra stepped out slowly, her wrists still marked by the cold metal bands. They walked together through the noisy market. Her steps were slow, unsure, as if she still couldn't believe she was outside the cage every few meters. Someone stared. A human with an alien companion was not a normal sight. When they reached his ship, a small freighter called the Emberlight, she paused at the ramp. You bought time, she said in a quiet voice. What do you want from it? Rylan looked at her, his face unreadable. I don't want anything, he said. I just want to talk. Inside the ship, the air was warm and smelled faintly of coffee and old machinery. Rylan handed her a cup of water and a thermal blanket. She took it slowly, confused. You are not like the others, she whispered. They ask for things. You ask questions. He sat down across from her. Then answer one, he said. Why do you look like someone who already gave up? Her hands trembled slightly. The question hit something inside her. She looked down. Because there is nothing left to fight for, she said. My people are gone. My world is ash, and I am just what remains. Rylan's eyes softened. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small hollow chip. With a click, a glowing image appeared. A broken city under alien skies, fire and ruins everywhere. I was there, he said quietly. Vorn Syndicate orbital strike, year 214 of the Council calendar. Lyra froze, her lips parted. How do you know that name? She whispered. Rylan didn't answer. He just looked at her with eyes that had seen too much. Because I was ordered to destroy that world, he finally said. Silence filled the room. Only the hum of the engines remained. Lyra took a slow step back, fear flashing in her eyes. Rylan raised a hand gently. No, he said softly. I didn't press the button. I stopped it. But I was too late to stop what came after. She stared at him for a long time, searching for truth in his voice. His gaze never wavered. He looked tired, broken, but honest. Why did you rent me? She asked again, her voice almost trembling. Rylan sighed. Because I couldn't save your people then, he said. But maybe I can save one now. For the first time, Lyra's eyes filled with tears, not from fear, but something else, something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. She turned away quickly, wiping her face. You are foolish, human, she said. The galaxy doesn't care about kindness. Rylan smiled faintly. Maybe, he said, but humanity still does. Outside, the dying sun flared weakly, casting red light across the hull of the Emberlight. Inside, 2 souls and 1 human. One alien went in silence, not as master and servant, but as 2 survivors of a cruel galaxy. Neither of them knew that their small act of compassion would soon set fire to the stars. The ship Emberlight drifted quietly through the endless dark. Its engines hummed softly, cutting through the silence like a heartbeat in the void. Ryland sat in the cockpit, staring at the holographic map glowing before him. Tiny red dots marking the patrol zones of the Vorn Syndicate. Lyra sat a few steps behind, wrapped in the blanket he had given her. Her silver hair shimmered faintly in the low light. She hadn't spoken much since he told her the truth. The silence between them felt heavy, filled with memories neither wanted to remember. After a while, Ryland broke the silence. "You should rest," he said quietly. "We have a long flight to the Edge colonies." Lyra looked up. "Why?" She asked. "Why help me? You said you were there when my people burned. Why carry that guilt now?" Ryland turned slightly, his face calm but his eyes shadowed. "Because someone has to remember," he said. "Someone has to make sure it doesn't happen again." Lyra stared at him for a long moment, then asked softly, "You fought in that war?" He nodded. "I was a soldier once, a captain in the Terran Defense Fleet. We thought we were saving lives back then, but war doesn't care who's right." She closed her eyes for a moment, her voice trembling. "My people called humans monsters. But you don't sound like one." Ryland gave a faint smile. "Maybe because I stopped believing in monsters long ago," he said. "Now I only see victims, some just hide it better." The ship suddenly jolted, alarms blinking red across the cockpit. Ryland moved fast, pressing switches. "Vorn Patrol," he muttered. "They must have tracked your tag." Lyra's eyes widened. "My tag?" He pointed at the thin metal band still around her wrist. "It's broadcasting your location," he said. "They can trace you anywhere within 5 systems." She pulled at it, panic rising. "It won't come off," she said. "It's coded to my DNA." Ryland stood, grabbed a toolkit and knelt beside her. "Hold still," he said. His voice was calm but focused. He took a plasma cutter, its blue light flickering, and sliced through the metal carefully. Sparks flew. Lyra winced but didn't move. A second later, the band fell to the floor with a dull clang. "There," Ryland said, breathing out. "No more leash." Lyra looked at him, her eyes glistening. "You risked your ship, your life. For me," she whispered. Ryland shook his head. "For what's right," he replied. "Not for you alone." Outside the ship, red lights flashed as Syndicate ships appeared on scanners. Ryland took the pilot's seat again. "Hang on," he said, pulling the thrusters to full power. Emberlight roared forward, engines screaming as they dived into an asteroid field. The asteroid spun around them, massive rocks glowing from reflected starlight. Ryland weaved through them with precision that spoke of long experience. Missiles chased them, explosions lighting up the darkness. Lyra gripped the seat tightly, her heart pounding. "Are they human?" she asked between breaths. "The ones chasing us?" "No," Ryland said. "But they learned from humans. The Syndicate buys old war tech from anyone willing to sell." One missile hit a nearby asteroid, sending shards of rock spinning toward them. Ryland jerked the controls, narrowly avoiding collision. The ship scraped along a large stone. Sparks trailing behind, the alarm blared again. "Shields down to 20%, the computer voice said. Ryland's jaw tightened. "Come on, hold together," he muttered. His hands moved fast across the controls. Rerouting power, Lyra suddenly reached forward, her fingers flying over an auxiliary console. "Here," she said. "I can override their targeting." Ryland glanced at her in surprise. "You can do that?" She nodded quickly. "I worked in their systems before I was forced to. They used my mind for data calibration." Within seconds, the enemy's lock signals disappeared. The chasing ships fired into empty space, confused by false readings. Ryland's lips curved slightly. "Impressive," he said. "Remind me never to play cards with you." She gave a small laugh, her first since they met. It was quiet and short, but it broke something heavy in the air. The ship finally broke free of the asteroid field. The Syndicate patrol vanished from the radar. Ryland sighed in relief and leaned back. "We're safe for now," he said. Lyra looked at him silently. Her expression softened. "You keep saying that," she said softly. "But I think you've been running for a long time, even before me." Ryland didn't answer. He stared out at the stars ahead. "Maybe," he said after a moment. "But sometimes running is the only way to reach the truth." She turned to the window too, watching the starlight reflect in her eyes. For the first time, she felt something warm inside her, not fear, Not anger, but a fragile spark of trust. Hours passed quietly. The hum of the engines was the only sound. Lyra finally spoke again, her voice barely above a whisper. If you could go back, would you change what happened? Rylan thought for a long time. I'd change how we saw others, he said. We thought we were the only ones worth saving. That was our biggest mistake, Lyra looked at him, understanding more about humanity in that single sentence than she ever had before. She whispered, maybe that's why you're different. Rylan gave her a small nod. Or maybe I just learned the hard way what being human really means. The navigation screen blinked. A new destination locked in. A planet hidden beyond a dead nebula. Rylan looked at it, then at Lyra. We're going to Eden 9, he said. A place where no one asks questions. A place where you can start again. Lyra's eyes filled with light. Start again, she repeated softly, tasting the words as if they were something sacred. As the ship turned toward the nebula, the stars stretched into lines. The ember light disappeared into faster-than-light travel, leaving behind the cold systems of the Syndicate. Inside, silence filled the small cabin, but it was no longer the silence of fear. It was the quiet before something new, something dangerous, something that would change both their lives forever. The ember light emerged from hyperspace near the edge of a glowing nebula. The swirling clouds of purple and gold stretched across the void like a living storm. It was beautiful, silent, and deadly. Rylan watched it from the cockpit window, the reflection of the colors flickering across his tired face. Behind them, no ships appeared on the scanner. It looked peaceful, too peaceful. Lyra stepped beside him, her expression calm but alert. Is this Eden 9? She asked quietly. Almost, Rylan said. The colony hides inside that nebula. The gas clouds jam long-range scanners. That's why no one finds it easily, she nodded slowly, still holding the blanket he had given her. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like property. She felt like someone again. As they flew deeper into the nebula, static filled the cockpit. The ship's lights flickered. Magnetic interference, Rylan muttered, adjusting the controls. Keep an eye on the readings. Lyra leaned forward, her slender fingers brushing over the console. Something's wrong, she said softly. There's another signal here. It's faint but real. Rylan frowned. Show me. A red blip appeared on the radar. Moving fast, Rylan's jaw tightened. Syndicate scout, he said. They found us. Lyra's heart skipped. How? They must have picked up your tag's last ping before we cut it, Rylan said grimly. They won't stop now. He pulled the throttle, the ship vibrating as the engines roared. Hold on, he said. It's going to get rough. The ember light plunged deeper into the glowing storm. Lightning-like energy bolts arced across the nebula. Shaking the hull, the Syndicate ship followed, larger and faster, its dark silhouette cutting through the colored clouds. Inside, alarms screamed. The cockpit lights turned red. Shields at 30%, the computer warned. Lyra gripped the seat, fear in her voice. We can't outrun them. Rylan didn't answer. His eyes burned with determination. Then we don't run, he said. We fight. He flicked a switch and the ship's old weapon systems powered up. Twin rail cannons sliding from the hull. This ship's not just a trader, he said. It used to belong to the Terran Defense Fleet. The first blast from the Syndicate ship hit them hard. Throwing Lyra off balance, Rylan grabbed her arm, pulling her back to the seat. Stay with me, he said, his voice steady despite the chaos. She nodded, breathing fast. What do you need me to do? He pointed at the targeting console. Feed me coordinates when their shields pulse. It's a pattern every Syndicate ship uses. You'll see it. A flicker in the energy field. Lyra focused, her eyes scanning the data streams. The screens glowed with alien text. She recognized it instantly, her memory of years spent in captivity turning into a weapon. Now, she said. Fire now. Rylan pressed the trigger. Two bright blue projectiles shot from the cannons, cutting through the nebula's mist. They struck the Syndicate ship directly on its shield core. A burst of light followed. And the enemy ship veered off course, yes, Lyra gasped. You hit them. Rylan smiled faintly. Nice call. But the enemy ship wasn't destroyed yet. It stabilized and fired a new volley of plasma bolts. One struck Emberlight's rear hull. The ship shook violently, alarms blaring again. Engines failing, the computer said flatly. Rylan swore under his breath. They're not letting go, he said. He checked the radar, calculating fast. We'll draw them into the nebula's core, he said. The radiation will fry their sensors. But we'll have to fly blind, Lyra hesitated. Fly blind? We could crash into anything. Rylan met her eyes. Do you trust me? She looked at him, at his steady hands and calm voice, even in the storm. And she nodded. Yes, she said quietly. I do. He smiled faintly. Then hold on. The ship dove straight into the heart of the nebula. The colors outside grew darker. Electric storms flashing every second. Static crawled across their skin. The Syndicate ship followed, but its sensors started to fail. Bolts flying wildly, missing their mark. Rylan shut off the navigation lights. They can't track what they can't see, he said. The ember light slipped through dense clouds, invisible. The enemy searched but saw only ghost readings. Suddenly, Lyra noticed something on the radar. A massive gravitational spike ahead. Rylan, she said quickly. There's a gravity well. We're heading straight for it. Rylan's eyes narrowed. Perfect, he said. He waited until the Syndicate ship appeared behind them again, closing in fast. Then he fired a flare beacon into the gravity field. The enemy sensors locked onto it instantly, thinking it was ember light. The Syndicate ship turned sharply and was pulled straight into the well. Its hull twisted under the invisible force, and within seconds it vanished into the glowing abyss. Lyra stared in shock. You tricked them, she said. Rylan exhaled slowly, the tension finally easing. Experience, he said with a faint grin, and a bit of luck for a long moment. Neither spoke. The nebula was quiet again. The storm fading around them, Lyra looked at him, her voice soft. You risked everything again, he shrugged. I told you. I don't leave people behind anymore, she smiled weakly, her heart pounding from more than fear. You sound like you've said that before, she said. Rylan's face darkened slightly. I did, he replied. But back then, I didn't keep the promise. Lyra wanted to ask more, but his eyes told her not to. Not yet. The ship finally broke free of the nebula's inner clouds, and ahead, through the haze, a faint blue light appeared, a planet surrounded by shimmering defense rings and floating gardens. Eden 9, Rylan said quietly. We made it. Lyra stared at the sight, her voice full of wonder. It's beautiful. Rylan nodded slowly. It's the one place left where humans and aliens work side by side. No slavery, no syndicate. Just people trying to build something better. Lyra's throat tightened. Do you think I can belong there? Rylan looked at her, his voice gentle. You already do. As ember light descended toward the blue-green planet, Lyra gazed out the window, her reflection mixing with the stars. For the first time since her world fell, she felt something she thought she had lost forever. Hope. Neither of them knew that the Syndicate had already sent a signal before their ship fell, and that what awaited them on Eden 9 would test not just their courage, but their hearts. The ember light entered the upper atmosphere of Eden 9, golden clouds glowing beneath the sunlight of a twin star. Below, green forests and silver cities stretched as far as the eye could see. Massive orbital rings shimmered around the planet like halos, humming softly with human and alien engineering. Rylan guided the ship toward a landing bay near the coastal city of Horizon Reach. A voice came through the comms. Incoming vessel. Identify, Rylan replied calmly. Freighter Emberlight. Clearance code Alpha 12. There was a pause. Then the voice softened. Welcome back, Captain Rylan. Docking pad 6 is ready. Lyra looked at him in surprise. They know you here, she said quietly. Rylan gave a small nod. I helped build this place after the wars, he said. It was supposed to be a refuge for anyone who lost everything. The ship landed gently, the engines cooling down with a low hiss when the doors opened. Warm air filled with the scent of salt and flowers rushed inside. Lyra stepped out slowly, her eyes wide as she saw children of different races playing together. Humans, reptilians, even small crystal-bodied beings. It's real, she whispered. They live together. Without chains? Rylan smiled faintly. Eden 9 isn't perfect, he said, but it's the closest thing to peace we've ever built. They were greeted by a woman in a long white coat. Her eyes tired but kind. Rylan, she said. I thought you were dead. Not yet, he replied. I brought someone who needs help. The woman looked at Lyra with curiosity, scanning her quickly with a handheld device. Her face changed, surprise flashing in her eyes. Rylan, she said slowly. Do you know who she is? Rylan frowned. She's a survivor from the Vorn Syndicate, from the planet Calith. The woman nodded slowly. Yes, she said, but she's more than that. She turned the scanner toward him. Her genetic code carries royal markers, ancient Calithian bloodlines. She's the last of her kind, the lost heir to House Vera. Lyra froze, her mind spinning. No, she said in disbelief. That can't be true, my family. They're gone, the woman's eyes softened. Your people believed the royal line was erased, but the syndicate kept you alive. They used your blood to control the Calithian workers, because your genetics triggered obedience in their implants. Lyra staggered back, her hands trembling. All this time, I was their weapon, she whispered. Rylan stepped closer, his voice calm. Not anymore, he said. You're free now. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Free, she said softly. But everything I was used to hurt others. Rylan looked at her, his expression firm. Then use it to help now, he said. Turn what they made you into something that saves. Before she could reply, an alarm blared through the bay. Red lights flashed. The woman looked at the terminal in horror. Syndicate ship, she said. They've breached orbit. They're demanding we hand someone over, someone named Lyra. Lyra's heart stopped. They found us, she whispered. Rylan's eyes darkened. I was afraid of this, he said. They must have sent a signal before the chase ended. The woman turned to him. If we fight, they'll destroy the colony. You know what they're capable of, Rylan looked at Lyra. Then at the ships rising into the sky outside the dome. His voice was steady. Then we don't wait for them to strike first. He pressed the comm link on his wrist. All defense crews, this is Rylan. Prepare for contact. Activate planetary shields and power the orbital guns. Lyra grabbed his arm. Rylan, you can't fight them all. There are hundreds of ships. He met her gaze, a faint smile touching his lips. I've faced worse odds, he said. And I'm not alone this time, outside. The skies filled with streaks of fire as enemy ships entered the atmosphere. Eden 9's defenses came to life, beams of light shooting upward. The calm world became a battlefield in seconds. Rylan ran toward the command center, Lyra following close behind. The floor shook as explosions echoed from above. They're targeting the energy cores, one officer shouted. Then reroute power from the hydrodomes, Rylan ordered. Keep the shield stable. Lyra watched as humans and aliens worked side by side, shouting orders, patching systems. Fighting together for the first time, she saw unity. Not in blood, not in species, but in purpose. The main screen flashed red. They've landed troops near the eastern dome, the operator said. They're coming for her. Lyra looked at Rylan, her voice shaking. They want me. Rylan nodded slowly. Then we'll make sure they regret coming. He handed her a small device. This is an amplifier, he said. It boosts your neural field. If what the doctor said is true, that your genetics link to their systems, then you can shut them down. Lyra looked at it uncertainly. I don't know if I can. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. You can, he said. You just have to believe you're more than what they made you. Outside, syndicate mechs marched through the city streets, their red eyes glowing. The sound of metal echoed as they advanced toward the dome. Lyra closed her eyes and held the amplifier. She focused on the signal inside her, the strange pulse that always made her afraid for the first time. She reached into it, not to obey but to resist. A wave of energy rippled outward, invisible but powerful. The syndicate machine stopped mid-step, their eyes flickering. Then one by one they shut down, collapsing to the ground. The command center erupted in cheers. Rylan exhaled slowly, pride shining in his eyes. You did it, he said. Lyra's body trembled from exhaustion. I didn't know I could, she whispered. Rylan smiled softly. That's the thing about humans and those who stand with us, he said. We never know what we're capable of until we're pushed to the edge. The victory was short-lived. A massive explosion shook the dome, throwing everyone off balance on the screen. A huge syndicate dreadnought appeared in orbit, its cannons charging. Rylan looked up, his expression turning grim. They're bringing their flagship, he said. They won't stop until everything here burns. Lyra turned toward him, her voice full of fear. What are you going to do? He met her eyes, steady and calm. What humans always do when cornered, he said. We fight back. He turned and ran toward the docking bay, the alarms screaming behind him. Lyra followed, shouting his name, but Rylan didn't stop. He looked back at her only once, his voice deep and sure. Stay here, Lyra, protect them. I'll take the Emberlight. Before she could stop him, the bay doors closed. The engines of the old Terran ship roared to life once more, rising into the sky toward the enemy fleet. As the ember light climbed through the burning clouds, its hull shining in the firelight, Lyra stood beneath the dome, watching him vanish into the stars. Her heart pounded, her hands shaking. "Rylan," she whispered, "please come back." Above, the small human ship faced a dreadnought 100 times its size, and yet it didn't turn away, because that's what humanity did best. They stood when no one else dared to. The ember light soared upward through clouds of smoke and flame. The sky above Eden 9 burned red as the Syndicate dreadnought loomed overhead, its cannons glowing like suns. It was a monster of metal, built to crush entire cities. But Rylan didn't flinch. He gripped the controls. "Eyes steady, breathing calm, computer," he said. "Activate manual targeting." The AI responded in a calm tone. "Warning, power levels insufficient for frontal engagement." "I know," Rylan whispered. "We're not here to win, we're here to protect." Below, in the command center, Lyra stood watching the radar feed. Her hands clenched tight. "He's going alone," she whispered. The doctor beside her shook her head. "He's trying to buy us time." The dreadnought opened fire, beams of red plasma raining toward the planet. Rylan's ship dove between the blasts, weaving through them like a shadow. The old freighter shook violently. Warning lights flashing. "Damage to port side," the AI said. "Shields at 15%, Rylan smiled faintly. "She's holding up," he muttered. "You've still got fight in you. Girl." He fired a barrage of railgun rounds at the dreadnought's lower cannons, explosions rippling across its hull. For a brief moment, the massive ship hesitated. The firing sequence disrupted in that small window. The colonies below raised their shields again. The dome lights flickered back to life. The people of Eden 9 cheered, thinking the worst was over. But Rylan saw what came next. The dreadnought's central cannon, a weapon meant to destroy whole fleets, and was charging. Glowing brighter with each passing second, he exhaled slowly. "So that's how it is," he said quietly. "You leave me no choice." He reached for the console and opened a secure panel under his seat. Inside was a small black chip marked Seraph Protocol. He hesitated for just a moment before pressing it in. "Authorization, Captain Rylan A. Mercer," he said. "Activate Seraph." The AI paused. "Warning, Seraph Protocol will result in total destruction of this vessel." "I know," he said, his voice soft but steady. "Just make sure it counts." On the ground, Lyra's communicator beeped. Rylan's voice came through, faint but clear. "Lyra," he said. She grabbed it, her voice breaking. "Rylan, what are you doing?" He chuckled softly. "Something stupid probably," he said. "But maybe it'll make a difference." "No," she cried. "Come back, please. We can fight together." He smiled sadly, staring at the massive dreadnought ahead. "You already did, Lyra. You gave them hope again. That's worth more than any battle I could win." Tears ran down her face. "You can't die for me," she said. Rylan's voice grew softer. "I'm not dying for you. I'm dying with purpose. That's what humans do. We turn endings into beginnings." The ember light charged forward, its engines burning blue. The dreadnought fired its main cannon, a beam of red energy splitting the clouds. At that same moment, Rylan whispered, "For Eden 9, for her," and pressed the final command. The ember light's reactor overloaded. Turning white-hot, the small ship became a star. A blinding flash filled the sky as the explosion tore through the dreadnought's core. From the ground, it looked like the sunrise had come early. The Syndicate flagship split apart, fragments burning as they fell. The remaining enemy ships turned and fled, their signals fading into the dark. The people of Eden 9 stood in silence, watching the pieces of light drift down through the atmosphere. Like falling stars, Lyra fell to her knees, clutching the communicator to her chest. "Rylan," she whispered through tears. "You paid 5 credits for me, but gave your life for everyone." The doctor placed a hand on her shoulder. "He knew what he was doing," she said softly. "And he'd do it again." Days passed. The skies cleared, the fires went out, and Eden 9 lived on, stronger than before. A monument was built on the hill overlooking the sea, a statue of a man in a long coat. Looking toward the stars beside him, carved in stone, were the words, "He paid 5 credits to rent an alien woman, no, and ended up saving a world." Lyra stood there often, her hair shining in the wind. She had taken Rylan's old ship transponder and placed it at the base of the statue, a reminder that kindness could still burn brighter than war. She later became the first ambassador between humans and the free worlds, carrying Rylan's dream beyond Eden 9. Every time she spoke, her voice carried his courage. his heart and his message, and across the stars. Wherever freedom was whispered, his name lived on. Rylan, the human who saw more than species or past, who believed in something greater than power. He believed in love.